Well, good afternoon to you. Thanks for clicking on to today's edition of VOGAN'S Views on Europe. The rains are battering off the window here in my house in Lennoxtown.
After a reasonably dry start, we had off and on drizzly precipitation, but in between that was clear spells, and therefore we're seeing basically a light frost over cars from a journey from Glasgow down through Dumfries and Galloway. But over the course of this morning, we've seen the clouds start to roll in off the Atlantic once again. Ahead of that next little system that was pushing in off the Atlantic, heights are low enough across the north to allow some of that rain, some showers, embedded heavier showers within those, and a pretty stiff southwesterly wind. Across the south today, high pressure once again in control. It's the pattern that's been lingering over the past few months across particularly the Midlands southwards. High pressure has been dominant, and that means to say it's been basically keeping the drought in place, so to speak, for the past 12 months. Pretty much the majority of England has seen 70%, 75% of its normal rainfall, and we can see the evidence in the atmosphere in relationship to that drought. In farming today on Radio 4, I was listening to that. That's a programme that's on around anywhere from about 5:35 to just before 6 o'clock, and it's farmers chatting about the various things within the industry. And the subject this morning was to do with the drought, and it was a chap that was a farmer in Kent, and he was basically saying that even though you can see runoff from where he was, the topsoil, although moist from the weekend rains that we've seen, don't get excited about that, folks. Once you go about a foot down below that surface, the drought is very evident. The ground is bone dry, and that's what the problem is. Rain like that, even what we're seeing across the south and southeast, is not going to dent this drought. It needs to percolate. You need to have weeks of heavy rain to eradicate this drought, and the concern is, as we progress towards later into spring and then, of course, summertime, as the atmosphere and the surface starts to heat up, the evaporation rate increases, and therefore the drought not only worsens in the given areas from the eastern part of England down across the south, but as well as that, we're going to see an expanse in that drought as well. The concern being that we're going to be seeing very warm summer temperatures, high pressure dominating in relationship to the fact that the chap this morning was saying that his farm in Kent has received a mere 25% of his annual average rainfall. 25%. So some 75% deficit doesn't eradicate during a 48-hour rainfall. You need to have very heavy rain, and unfortunately we've bypassed that time where we can see the biggest and the more dependent time of the year for heavy rain, and that is of course the winter months. We're now advancing into the springtime. High pressure remains on these models, folks. They're not changing any time, and therefore the concern being that we're going to be seeing not only the expanse in the drought, but also those temperatures above normal will continue for the next few months. The chap this morning, I refer again to him saying that we need months of heavy rainfall. That, folks, is not going to happen. Now, we are here across Scotland, across Ireland, Northern Ireland as well. We're in the outer fringes of this area of high pressure, this bubble of settled, calm weather. Around those fringes, we're going to be talking about these systems that are pushing through, producing things like that. The rainfall tomorrow, it's going to be wet, windy, showery across Scotland, but downwind of the Grampian Mountains, so Aboyne, Aberdeen, you could be talking about the warmest temperatures in the UK tomorrow. We've got the downslope effect combined with strong March sunshine. Could be looking at temperatures of 17 or 18 degrees in Aboyne or Aberdeen, as opposed to the 16 that we're going to be seeing around the London area today. But over the course of the week, the drought areas, we're not going to see any rainfall, unfortunately. We are going to be seeing intermittent areas of rainfall across the northern and western half of the UK. So little change, and little difference in what I'm talking to you about. It's all very much the same thing, the same story week in and week out of high pressure dominating the drought areas, and unfortunately that does correlate well with heat later on down the road. Keep checking back to my blog and I'll keep you up to date. Bye bye.